The idea of Mice and Men, I think, started back quite a long time ago. I've always been interested in work that I can help to develop ideas from or look at. So it's always been there, the whole idea of taking a novel that's a classic, that people kind of know, they've either seen on the film or they read the book or they studied it at school. It's kind of a timeless piece. So it's always been there. And I suppose I locked it away some drawer somewhere until I came up to Wodonga and I met Tim Podesta. And on the train on the way back, suddenly just popped into my head, I want to do a duet with Tim Podesta. And so I rang up and I said, shall we do a piece together? And lo and behold, we have this bizarre fascination of duet work and partnering and making work that connects. And Of Mice and Men seemed a perfect vehicle to make that happen.
I think it's really interesting that Andy and I, we've grown up on opposite sides of the world. We both started dancing later. I immediately fell in love with classical ballet, and like Andy, was also very physical. I love sport, but I also think that, like Andy, I was really driven by the emotion. I was always a very emotional young lad, and I liked the fact that dancing provided something for me to throw myself around, but still try and emote and use it as a way to make other people feel things.
I suppose I started dancing at a later stage in life. I hadn't done much dance. I was very into sport and athletics and running and football and kicking. And then I did one dance class and it kind of changed who I was. I then went up to the person that was teaching and said, I think I want to be a dancer. And he said, the only place to go is London. So off I went at the age of 16 and a half to go to London to train. I then did 4 years at the Laban Centre in London. I then came out of there and joined various dance companies. I then started working back in Scotland, really to develop dance at the grassroots, really developing community dance, dance and education, the whole ethos of what dance in the community is about. We set up many regional and exciting projects all over Scotland.
I think when Andy and I are in the studio, we definitely have the same intent in terms of what we're wanting to portray through the movement, but our movement is definitely very different. My background is, well, originally is very, very strong in classical ballet. I went through the Australian Ballet School and then started my career as a professional ballet dancer. So all of my movement stems from that vocabulary. It's very different now, and my movement is very modern, but it still stems from that seed of classical ballet. Whereas I think for Andy, his movement stems from something different.
I mean, the really interesting thing about Of Mice and Men, I think, is at the heart of the story is an unimaginable relationship between two men that shouldn't get on, but they need to get on, that they've travelled from different farm to work, but yet they kind of have this strange, argumentative, kind of tension-building, very unpredictable relationship that is always sort of, the danger is always there. You're never quite sure what's going to happen. And it's at the heart of it is about, can they survive in this hard environment, both emotionally and physically? And as the piece develops, as the story develops, you get a deeper understanding of what is friendship, what is love, what is trust, what is hatred, what is annoyance, all the kind of really interesting words that build up really nice dance textures.
Andy and I have been very lucky in that we have had the opportunity to work extensively all throughout the world. And so with that comes an experience and an awareness of not only what we're trying to achieve in terms of the artistic merit of the story. But again, we're mature enough to understand that we really want as many people seeing dance as possible. And that means touring regional Australia, lots and lots of workshops. Audiences in regional Australia are beginning to experience a lot more higher quality dance and performing arts in general. And obviously the more that they experience, they become more aware of what contemporary dance is versus classical ballet versus physical theatre. Contemporary dance is such a vast, unknown territory. Some of it can be extremely physical, while some can be purely based on an emotional response. And I think audiences are a little bit tentative. They want to know what it is they're spending their dollars on. So obviously in metropolitan cities they have a lot more international companies coming in, a lot more international choreographers, a lot more independent groups creating work, so they have all of this at their fingertips. Regional Australia, not so much. And so it's just about trying to use our product as a tool to get people informed on what contemporary dance is, what it can feature, and how accessible it is too. I think Andy and I are very much about getting people, regardless of your age, ability, into the studio, and contemporary dance is a perfect vehicle for that, because you don't have to get your leg high, you don't have to spin around 10 times. If you can, it's great, but it's accessible to everybody.
I've always believed that dance is about communication. I've always believed that actually dance should move you. It should move you physically, and it should move you emotionally. What's really interesting about this piece is it can house many things. And it's also really going to be really interesting to work with them in the performance, but also in the workshops. And I think they'll get a real understanding of the craft of building material and building duets and building partnering work. Because that is at the heart of it.
We have so much to give through our experiences, and getting anybody dancing, getting anybody feeling something through what it is we're trying to portray, that's the goal. Be it from 2.5 to 82.5. You know, we want people moving, we want people understanding what dance is.
I hope people come away with many questions. I hope people come away wanting more. I hope people come away going, wow, that really, really moved me.